hit record and ask what is worth celebrating today. I'm going to ask for you to lead that, Deborah. Your house isn't
I'm
burnt down.
celebrating
That's a good
having
celebration.
electricity.
You're celebrating
I'm
having electricity.
having electricity and, living in this third world country that I'm soon to be in California.
I got out just in time.
You did. That might be like one of the most hilarious things I've heard all year.
Wow.
It's pretty sad to.
No, celebrate.
It's celebration time, darling. Celebration. You have electricity.
I am celebrating my little heater back here that my dog's scared to death of, but I can plug it in the morning, at least heat up my office. And
woohoo!
So
Let's hear it. Yes.
Being warm. It's been like 32 degrees here, which it never happens. Yeah, so it's a little chilly in the morning when you have no heat. So I am celebrating. I have electricity, so I have heat.
It's those simple things. When we're comfortable, we don't notice until they go away, like electricity, even if you live in a developing part of the world of California.
And I'm also celebrating the fact that $600 later, I have everything I will ever need for an emergency.
Can we also celebrate that your electrical bill will be less?
Very low, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. All right, who else has a celebration? Al, I see you in there, secretly hiding.
Ghosting.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Al today. All right, Christiana. I can't.
Sorry guys. I'm on. I'm on. Sorry about that. I just had a different call coming into me at the same time, but I'm here, and I always look forward to the call. And I did post today. So I celebrate posting today on the chat.
Woo!
And I'm thankful to be with you all right now.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Where is everybody today? Because today is going to be, I'm sharing like my principles today, which are going to be incredibly cool and powerful. So you guys are going to get them, and you know what? Maybe I won't post them or share the recording, and everybody's going to be like, what? Yeah, it was epic.
Let them sweat it out.
Exactly. All right. Sounds good, Deborah. Got it. Thank you. All right, Christiana.
Yes, I gave a presentation to 15 people last night, which was fantastic. Last night, yeah, I drove over to Orlando, yeah, and it was my third presentation. And it was so interesting because I've just been doing this on my own and kind of making it up. Like it's like the Wild West. It's like, here's the information, go deliver it. And I'm like, okay. And then one of the girls that was in the audience is a level 4 trainer with the company. And she's like, wow, that's like one of the best intros I've ever seen. And I'm like, yes.
Nice.
And it felt better. It was more rapport. It was more natural. So I can see the curve of like sucking at it and getting better. So yeah, it was really, really nice. And
oh, wait a minute. Let's celebrate that. Winging it and nailing it at the same time. Yeah. Awesome.
Right? It's so good. But it feels good when you start something new. There's always that learning curve. So I'm feeling like I'm getting traction. So that's a huge win. Huge win.
Got it.
My other win is I wanted to manifest a healer, a natural healer in this area because I come from woo-woo, California. And I found the perfect person for me. She's amazing. She does like all very advanced kind of cool stuff that people here might think is weird, but I geek out on it. So she's amazing. So I'm really excited. So now I have a good person.
I love it. Very cool. Wonderful. And you have routines that you do to keep you in good spirits daily, correct?
Yes.
Can anybody tell? Yeah, that's not coincidence. Awesome. All right. Who else? I see Terry, who has been on the road. I think that we're going to have to become roadies or groupies in order to keep up with Terry's awesome world. But I see that you are on. What celebration would you like to extend out to the group today, sir? Terry.
Oh, okay. You just came on my computer, so I didn't hear the whole sentence. Well, it's a big week and preparing to shoot some video to capture a great band and promote it here in the next half of the year. So lots to do to get ready for that. Hit a home run.
I love it. Let's hear it.
Woohoo!
I love it. Opportunity abounds, the ability for technology to capture and continue to make you look like not just a rock star, but a legendary rock star, if I may dare say it. Like the German level of, speaking of German level, that would be David Hasselhoff level of rock star.
We can only hope. We can only hope.
Indeed. All right. Who else has got a celebration? I see Katie. I see Michelle. Who else? Anyone?
I'll share. I put it on the Facebook group, but I'll still share it on here. After last week's call, I was using the XYZ communication that Chad shared.
Recap what that is. Not everybody, because the recording, I'm still working on trying to get the recording. So last week, I tried for the first time to record into the cloud. It's there, but they won't let me access it. So what is the XY? Yeah, it's first world problems, people. It may be because maybe it's being stored in California. I don't know. Anyway, what's the XYZ?
So the XYZ is basically outlining, like,
Wait a minute. Anybody else know the XYZ? All right, go for it, Katie.
Okay, so I feel X when Y, I need Z.
Okay, everybody got that? I feel X. I feel pissed off. I feel hurt. I feel criticized, whatever.
Happy.
I feel
However,
happy.
The example that Chad gave last week was he used it in a positive. So he started, I can't remember exactly what it was, but
I don't either because I never start anything with a positive.
But what you just shared was how my mind usually goes. And so it totally reframed of, oh, I'm used to doing something like that and speaking my truth in love when I'm upset. But what would happen if I started doing that when I'm happy and looking for those moments? And so that was what I focused on doing. And it's just been, I've seen a huge shift in a relationship with a guy that I'm talking to. And when he would do something that made me feel happy, I responded with the XYZ. So to be able to say, I feel happy when I got a good morning text this morning, I need that communication for me to feel connected with you, whatever. And he was like, oh, okay. And then I've gotten one like every day since then.
I love it. Wait a minute. Let's celebrate that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel loved when blah, blah, blah. I need you to do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
How many of you guys would love to hear somebody say something like that to you?
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really on fire when, and Terry, you could use this with your band, when we do these things. I need to see that on a daily basis, or we need to do that continually for us to get to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like such an easy formula, but how many of us actually have ever been taught this?
Not really.
Yeah, and the Z part piece was awkward for me. The first time I did it, I was like, oh, I don't want to say what I need. But it really made me think. And I realized that piece is so important because it gives the why to why I felt happy.
Yeah.
Because I need that connection, or I need that back and forth to, feel excited or whatever it is. So it's been really, really cool.
Awesome.
Sounds like that's a dating situation.
It's a human need situation, people.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. Yes.
It's a human need.
Absolutely.
All right. So anybody got a last celebration you want to get in? Deborah is got one. Let's hear it. Yes. While her power still lasts.
As some of you know, I've been working with Roberto, and he saved me almost $6,000 in my back taxes.
Wow.
Wow.
I actually got a refund from the state of Arizona after paying them a shitload of money, and got a refund check this week for the difference in that one, and on my federal return has been adjusted, and I love him. And if anybody else has any issues with taxes or money, get a hold of him. He knows what he's doing.
Wow.
You know what would be even, that is awesome, because Roberto is committed to the work that he does. He is committed to his clients, and it would be an awesome testimony for you to actually put that out on the Facebook group, Deborah, to let other people know the experience that you had with him.
I'm waiting for permission. Everything with him has to go through permission.
Yes, that's true.
But yes, I intend to do that to my 20,000 followers. I've already sent him one person who's very excited.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so anyone else?
Oh, I just want to say I had a coaching session with Chad on Wednesday, so yesterday. That was amazing. And it was a really great reframe on how I'm doing it. And I put it into action last night, which was creating the gap, which was fantastic. And I would say, hey, now that you have this, but do you know how to use it? How much have you bought and you put on the shelf? Like, so the next step is to do this, so that way you can actually start learning how to use it. And it was really powerful. Now, you know, it was my second or third offer, so I'm not super sexy with it yet, but it was good. It was I felt really empowered making an offer because I was doing it for their benefit. It wasn't about me. It was look, this is going to serve you. So it really shifted where I came from. And they all said that they felt my authenticity, and they really got that it was about them, not about me. It's really powerful shift for me.
Let's
Awesome.
hear it. I love it. How to create a powerful gap, and then how to use your solution or yourself as the vehicle to close the gap. So helps you actually serve people better. So I love it. Very, very cool. All right, who is ready? What have we been working on now for a bit? Anyone?
2020.
2020. And?
Who do I have to be?
Yeah. Who do you want to become? What is important to you for 2020? And one of the things that I have seen as we're going to go through this, but one of the challenges that I have experienced, both for myself, as well as I think a lot of what is being taught out there, can get you lost. And so I wanted to start this and kick this off with just a 2-minute and 11-second little piece that I have found to be a powerful shift. So if you've never heard of Tom Brown Jr., he was raised and learned from a Native American chief that was incredibly wise. And so I'm going to share this with you all. Hopefully you can see the little picture. This is from a book he wrote called Grandfather. So listen in. Everybody can hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
At times, a vision is very elusive. It doesn't come with a set of instructions. The only instructions are generated by inner vision, which Grandfather considered to be the voice of the Creator. And it's not so much that the vision becomes obscure. What happens is we don't hear that inner vision. We don't pay attention to it, or we ignore it. And that's when we get ourselves into trouble. We stop, we lose that target. You see, the one thing about a vision is simply it is not written in stone. It is forever changing. I remember once Grandfather asking Rick and I, it had just been after school on a Friday, and he said to me, and it took me by surprise, I was all of about 10 or 11 years old, and he said to me, "Grandson, what is your vision?" So I spelled out my vision, as best as I could for a 10, 11-year-old. And he asked Rick the same question. And Rick kind of tried to spell out his vision. And come Sunday, 3 days later, just before we went home, Grandfather asked me again, "Grandson, what is your vision?" And I told him. Then he asked Rick, "What is your vision?" And Rick told him. And I looked at Rick and I said, "That's not what you told Grandfather on Friday." He said, "Listen to yourself, Tracker." And I realized that, holy crap, in the period of 2 days, my vision was modified. And Grandfather said, that's because a vision is forever evolving. It is not a goal. He said, the journey is the vision. And a lot of times we lose sight of the journey. And we have to reevaluate. We have to redirect. We have to introspect to say, is this where I'm supposed to be going?
So, how many of you could relate to that in some way, shape, or form?
Mm-hmm.
I find that to be an incredibly powerful message. What stood out for you, any of you?
Well,
What I like.
Chad,
Oh, go, Michelle.
for me, Chad, I thought about the same conversations we've had about life's purpose and how, we seek out, what is my purpose in life? What am I created for? And like for me, I had discovered that it's the same as vision. It's forever evolving and changing, because one day or for one season, your life's purpose may be one thing, and then the next season it may be another. So I can totally relate with that. And that's what was coming up for me. 10 years ago or 15 years ago, like before my spiritual walk matured, my vision and my purpose was completely different than it is now. And that's because I evolved, I changed. And so that changes along with me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you.
Christiana.
Exactly. And Michelle, I really love what you talked about, which is it shifts for the seasons. Like that to me is really powerful. What I really loved is that in the beginning, when you first start this question, it's not supposed to be perfect and clear. It's something that as you keep asking it, it gets clearer and clearer. It's not something I sit down and say, what's my vision? And then I'm like, they both stumbled over it in the beginning. And then the next day they got clear. And even though it may have shifted, they were more clear on what they were doing. He had created that awareness in them that they were then able to call it forth.
Yeah. How many of you have been taught that when you're setting your New Year goals, it's about the finish line?
Mm-hmm.
How many of you have been taught that it is about the ego, material attainment? Now, they're not going to say that, but it's about something tangible, material that you can achieve and attain.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of you in that process of saying, yeah, but the journey, the vision, and who did he say that the vision comes from? Where's the vision manifested from?
He said that you hear it from inside, but it comes from God, essentially.
The creator.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to define creator to be in your life. But yes, that's where it is manifested from, is the creator. So how many of us in our goal setting for the year are ignoring, because he said in the very beginning, is that we ignore or we stop listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's screwing up this noise is screwing up this other thing that I want. So I wanted to share with you that as you're looking at and getting closer to who do you want to become by the end of 2020? What's the journey going to entail for you? And there's 5 things that I've really sat down to say, you know, what are the principles that I serve or live by that have really helped me over the years? To listen to both the creator and understand that we live in a 3D world and need to understand the rules of the material. So would you guys like me to share with you some of the things as I look at creating who I want to become, some of the things I look at daily, yearly, quarterly?
Yes.
That'd be of
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
The first is, as you're looking at this and creating what that journey looks like for you, who you want to become, is to ask, what do you know what fills and what drains your tank? What fills and what drains your tank?
Mm-hmm.
What if the answer is the same for both?
Is that motherhood?
Yeah.
Then I would say get a baby sitter at times.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, is the vehicle may be both of those, Michelle. And so what drains you may be in being a new mother, as an example. Maybe anxiety. It may be, then the next level is anxiety and tension or stress at the top. Then the tank gets a little bit more drained, and that leads to emotional drain. Mm-hmm. Any of you ever been in a relationship, whether that's as a parent, whether that's as intimate, whether that is caring for somebody, where you get to a threshold where you just emotionally have nothing left in the tank?
Yeah, I've been there.
And then the third is at that bottom is a breakdown. What if we don't actually have to get there? So in looking at knowing what fills and drains your tank, some 3 questions in there to identify that is who am I with? Who am I with when I'm draining? Who am I with when I'm refilling or filling up my tank? Second is, what am I doing? And third is, where am I doing this? If you actually answered those questions to what drains and what fills your tank for the next year, if you understood that, would your next upcoming year look different than the current?
100%.
Here's the thing about that. When you're starting to drain your tank, what do your instincts, what are you trained, what are you taught to do?
Travel, get away, take a bath, like all of these outward things that sound like self-care, but it really depends on the person. For me, what I've experienced is if it actually fills me up or not.
Okay, great. How many of you are like, when I get this stress, when I get this tipping point, when I get this thing done, then I'll give myself permission to go on vacation? Anybody?
I think everybody. But
Yeah.
most people, yes.
Yeah. But here's what I'm going to actually invite you to do, is to take the time when you see that you're starting to drain, is when you begin that, increase your agenda, your calendar, your schedule with fill activities, things that fill you up. But what do? We're like, oh, I need a big vacation. What I'm actually inviting you to do instead is find multiple things that fill you up and increase the quantity and quality of those. Your instincts are going to tell you you don't have time. Yes, Al, you're saying your instincts are telling you I don't have time for that.
Yeah, no. People just get addicted to. I have that problem too. I get addicted to whatever I'm doing, and I don't take breaks, and I don't fill up my tank like I should, and it's not a good thing. Yeah. I mean, so one thing
I would just say try it for a month and see. One of the things you're what?
One thing I was going to share with you guys was just recently I got this little meter thing. Somebody in my building told me about it, and I got it. It tells me that the air in the room has about 402 parts per million of CO2. And that's kind of close to what it is outside. So when the number goes up to like 400 or like 700 or 800 or 900, I know that, oh, you know what? I got to open the windows here and get some fresh air in here, and I forget. It's nice to have some kind of daily metering to clarify what people need. This tells me that there's not enough oxygen in the room. But I think this is what you're saying. It kind of relates to what you're saying. In an important ingredient in being fulfilled or accomplishing or having a legendary life, as you like to say, is be clear about what fills your tank and what empties your tank. What makes you happy, what makes you unhappy. Sort of have an awareness or sensitivity to how your life is going and be able to, act upon it correctly.
Yeah, so do me a favor and share that out with the group, what that is, because I'm sure other people would like to know more about that, me being one of them. And put it on the Facebook group.
Put a link.
The second thing, that was a great transition into number 2, Al. Second principle I use is understand balance in your life. Now, I use the word balance, and how do I feel about work-life balance? I don't believe that there is such a thing. It's work-life choices. So what I actually believe in is work-life harmony. But how many of us believe that it's actually achievable? Because here's the reality. When we actually have balance, right? Okay, everybody at work do these things. Everybody in my personal life do these things. All right, now don't move, right? So I got perfect balance. Don't anybody change anything. But what's the reality? Life is not static, is it? So how do we actually, harmony is about a rhythm. That's why I use harmony instead of balance. And so if life isn't static, we need to move in order to be honoring the dynamic aspects of life. How many people know what a fulcrum is? So let me find.
I think so.
I just want to acknowledge that you're delivering this as a place of standing up versus sitting down. I like the energy better.
Thank you. This is work. This is personal life, right? Mm-hmm. The fulcrum is this piece, the teeter-totter, right? Mm-hmm. And what are we led to believe? Balance is that this fulcrum needs to be right here, right? Mm-hmm. But if life is dynamic, do we need to recognize that if we want to actually maintain harmony, what happens if this is work and this is family and there's a family emergency?
Yeah.
Right? So how do we maintain balance or harmony?
Remove our fulcrum.
Oh, so that it does this? Mm-hmm. How many of you are taught, though, when this, what do you have to do? Lighten the load so that it comes back to center, right? Mm-hmm. But does that violate the urgent and important things in life that create this? But if we move our fulcrum, we can maintain that balance. And so when that urgent important dissipates, then and we get some heavy work things, like got to get a deadline or got to get something important done, we just move our fulcrum here. So for those that have always tried to figure out what I mean by work-life harmony, it's about the ability to measure and move and adjust the fulcrum in your life. Here's the one caveat. So we have all of these different roles in our life, right? Where's spiritual on this bar?
In the middle.
In the middle. Anyone else? So you have finance, career, spiritual, health, relationships, etc., right? Here's my invitation for you in the coming year. Spiritual is across all of the roles in your life. It is not a placement. Spiritual is throughout. It is not separate from the other roles in your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. In my Bible study, my pastor speaks about the same exact thing, how there's no such thing as spiritual life, business life, family life. Spiritual life is your whole entire life and all aspects of your life. You're not just a spiritual person when you walk into church on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, it's a part of your daily life. So I'm sorry for that, but it just totally, I hear this coming from my pastor all the time.
Yeah, and if you look at all of the different religions, they would all concur with that, by the way. Okay. Number 3, any questions about that? Number 3, third principle is lead out of rest. One of the ways that I say that is my pit stop theory. Leading out of rest means if we were to look at Formula One, because the difference between Formula One and NASCAR is a collar, people. They wear collars at Formula One. They don't wear collars at NASCAR, okay? That was a joke. You can. I love NASCAR at like live events, not on TV. Pit stop theory. You could have the world's best, most advanced, technologically advanced Formula One race car. You can have the most technically proficient driver in that Formula One race car, and you can have the most advanced pit crew in the world. But you cannot win a race without taking a pit stop. You have to take a pit stop. Every sport has an intermission, has a halftime, has a period, has an inning. Why do we think that we can lead without that pause? How many of you guys know me to preach about sleep?
Yeah.
How many of you think I'm a bit of a freak about my sleeping pattern? It's abnormal. Okay, how many of you just think I'm abnormal,
Yes.
period? Okay.
No,
Yes.
I think it's abnormal because you only need like 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
No, I need more than that. Okay.
4 to 5.
But how many of you believe or have been taught that your day begins when you wake up?
I think your day begins how you set your day the night before and the quality of sleep that you get.
How many of you believe your day begins when you wake up? Bull. Yes, you do, liars. All of you are lying. You want to believe that that's not the truth, but how do you actually behave?
That it is.
Do you truly behave? Do you demonstrate that your day actually begins with sleep? Let me say that again. You might want to write it down. Your day begins with sleep. How many of you are starting your day off crappy? Yes, Deborah, and coffee. We're not heathens here. Your day begins with sleep. Because without sleep, your day is dead on arrival.
And it's the quality of sleep. It's not just sleep, because people sleep, but they don't sleep well.
Yeah. And only from that place can you lead. So as you go into the new year, are you leading out of rest? Now, when I lead out of rest, I might wake up at 3:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. I might go to bed at 9, 10, 10:30, 11, because I follow a circadian rhythm. That's balance. Any questions on that? Any disputes? Yeah. You.
It's
You, girl.
Aren't we, according to, I think it's
He's stupid and he's wrong.
acupuncture.
No.
But according to acupuncture, is that we're supposed to, the reason it gets dark sooner at night is we're supposed to rest and recharge during the winter season. So we're supposed to sleep a lot more, not hibernate, but sleep a lot more during the winter season to prepare for when there's less light.
Maybe.
That's what I had an acupuncturist talk to me about. She was talking about that it gets dark sooner, people push through it, but she said, what if you just went to bed earlier and you would see how everything in your health shifts?
Sounds good to me. Measure. See what the quality is. Al might have a little device for that. All right, number 4. This is a big one because there's a lot of controversy around this. Number 4 is what I would say is find a lightning rod. What do I mean by that? How many of you might be on a customer service call and you get a little charged, a little angry, a little frustrated? How many of you have ever dealt with clients, family members, somebody that gets you a little tense, shall we say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you building a charge?
Yeah.
And then, not Michelle, but maybe somebody else, and they go and talk with their spouse or somebody, and it's like, and maybe they give that charge out to others, maybe by the tone of their voice or the word choice, or how they show up with the person. None of us, especially not me. I never take out my tension and anxiety as I'm draining out on other people. That'd just be cruel, inhumane. But how many of us actually have a lightning rod to take that charge and get grounded? Be that a BFF that you confide in, be that a group, be that an app or something that if you don't find an outlet to get grounded, you're going to burn others. Terry, has that ever happened to you in performing?
You bet.
Yeah, the vendor didn't do what they were supposed to. The band didn't perform. The technician who's supposed to keep all the gear in pristine condition, all kinds of things, and then we burn our fellow band members, or the bus driver, or somebody in customer service, or God forbid, our audience.
That one. Yep.
Do you find that to be more challenging on the road or easier?
On the road, for the reason that we're on this topic. I'm less rested and less in shape physically and psychologically in some ways.
Yeah.
Demands made
Now, for myself, I've tried for like 15 years in my marriage to be like, yeah, in a marriage, that should be my wife. She's supposed to provide that role in a marriage. And for 17 years, she said, no. But I can only speak for myself that maybe, somebody upset me and I go and spill it all to my wife. And then I talked to that person. We made up. We talked, and they're like, yeah, man, I'm sorry. I had a bad day. My bad. I really apologize for what I did. But I kind of forgot to tell her. And then we go out with that person, and she's like, right? Ladies.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what's up with that? Well, that person just needs to die. I know what they did. I know what they said. Yeah, no, did I forget? I forgot to tell you that we made up. It's all good. You what? Yeah, no, we made up. And then she turns to me and goes, So in other words, maybe you don't want the person that you're intimately involved with to be that person. So it's important. I have a core group of guys that I've trusted and verified that they're trustworthy. What's said in that room or in that conversation stays enclosed in that. But we have to have a grounding pole. Do you have that going into the new year? And number 5 is being disciplined or find the strength in the purpose of your daily devotions. Whatever that is, whatever that ritual or that sequence, that process or process is for you. So daily, what are you reading to recharge your batteries, to fill back up? I'd highly encourage you to have a journal that you do gratitude every single day, at a minimum 10 items, or writing paragraphs the way that some of you prefer. But do you journal to express and find what's right, even in the midst of power outages? For me, that daily devotion is time to pray or connect, whatever you want to call that. Having a relationship, in other words, with a higher power, with your creator. It isn't about when something's wrong and you pick up the bat phone and you're like, hey, I need emergency help. But do you actually have a relationship with your creator? And then lastly in that is also time to be still and listen. What is the message your creator is trying to share with you? Which brings us back to the very beginning with Tom Brown Jr. in understanding, are you listening to what your vision is? In Hindu, that would be called your dharma, what you're born to do, your purpose. In America, that would be probably Tom Sawyer. Who wrote Tom Sawyer?
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain was his pen name, but we'll say Mark Twain. 2 most important days of his life is the day he was born and the day he found out why. So do you listen to find out what's your why? If you do these 5 things consistently and persistently, what would your year look like?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to share that. What would you need to do to incorporate this into your life, your ritual, into your plans for an amazing, dare I say it, a legendary upcoming year? Thoughts? Questions?
To me, what stands out is 1 and 5. Gaining clarity, going back to what fills me up and what drains me, and being really clear on all of those, because one of the things that I'm realizing, Michelle alluded to this, is that I can have one thing, but that there's elements of it that fill me and drain me. So becoming really clear about what those things are. And then one of the areas that I'm finding that I want to grow in right now is being disciplined in those daily rituals, because I will for a little bit, then I'll get kind of tired, and then I don't do it, and then I fall back off. So I've been noticing that cycle right now, and I want to get to the place where, you know, I'm disciplined and have a strong purpose for doing those, so I'm consistent with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Nobody likes me that much to want to spend all their time with me on a regular basis. I love my wife. I need a break. I love my son. I need a break. I love you all. I definitely need a break. So it's about being able to say, who am I with, and being able to honor, love you, need to go spend some time with some others sometimes. Get a different perspective. So I love that, Katie. Awesome. You guys I never get tired of. Well, one of you, you know who you are.
Not me. Just kidding.
Thank you, Chad.
I love you all. All right. Who else? Questions? Thoughts? Anything that I missed on here that you would want to add for everyone? Deborah.
Yeah, the one thing I realized between the two power shutoffs in the last few weeks is the second one, I approached it with this completely different mindset. And even though I missed last week, I guess I super consciously got it, because it was like, okay, what is it I need? What do I need to get? How does that make me feel? And this time I was so calm. I mean, just so calm. It was like, go get the batteries, got the lights, go get the ice, and just knew exactly what I was doing. Said, okay, I'm bored because I can't get on the computer. I'll read a book. And sat down and relaxed and read a book. And the whole approach this time was so completely different. It wasn't that panic survival. So thank you. Yes, I do listen to you.
You know what I love about that in that share as well, Deborah, is pit stop. This is you recognize the value in a pit stop. And at first, how many of us are like freaking out, start getting the withdrawal shakes when we begin to be still? How many of us are like good to be still for like 2-3 minutes, and after that you're like, now what? Come on, be honest.
I actually had that happen last weekend. I decided, I'm going to go to a coffee shop and I'm not going to bring anything with me. I'm just going to be still and focus that time. And for whatever reason, their service took so long. I was waiting for my food and coffee for about 40 minutes. And by the time it came, I was like, I have already had my quiet time. Now what am I supposed to do while I eat this? And so I was getting stressed out and had to like reframe that I was still going to choose to take longer so I could finish my food.
There you go. Love it. Anyone else?
I found it that when I don't take that time consistently, my body takes that time. So it's like the whisper in your ear, tap you on the shoulder, punch you in the face, or hit you with the bus. And it's like, at what degree you're going to listen, because pit stops are mandatory. And to you, Katie, I'm the same thing. Like I'll go really well with like a morning routine and then I stop. But when Chad was talking about pit stops, is that part of a cycle where like you go for a period of time and then you rest and then you come back and then you rest? Is it that? Or because I've struggled with that as well, but I go in cycles with it.
And that is this cycles. Up, down here. Oh, down here, right? That's the cycles. That's understanding where's your fulcrum.
Well, and to me, it comes back to the beginning thing that you shared about really finding joy and trusting the journey. Because Christiana, as you were sharing that, what I pulled out for myself was the same thing with the coffee example. Like I feel good about the quiet time if I'm in control in the sense that I have this plan and I'm going to be quiet for this long, and then I can keep going because I've done that. And I have a deck of cards that are that Kelly Walden created, the dream cards. One of the ones that I pulled yesterday, the title was Celebrate the Sacred Gap. And it was talking about finding joy and trusting that buffer time when it comes in, that there's purpose in the waiting. And that's been a big lesson that I've been learning lately of, okay, I can say that I'm okay waiting and trusting that, but when it gets past that point of where I feel I've waited long enough, let's move it along. Sometimes there's still things to be learned in that gap where it hasn't happened yet. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's part of the journey I'm learning right now too, of celebrating and seeing that gap as sacred, and trusting that there's meaning and that there's purpose in still waiting, and finding the joy in that piece too.
Awesome. All right.
Right on.
You have 1 minute. Go into your calendars.
Oh, Al wanted to say something.
Yeah, what's up, Al? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Across the 5 items that you mentioned, what would you say would be your ways of measuring things across those 5 areas? And it's kind of a hard question to answer because any one of those things I think goes across a lot of different areas. But what would be good ways of measuring?
What do you suggest?
Well, I guess just if you try to keep a log or keep track of whether you did all the things. Did you do your pit stop? Did you do the things that are part of your pit stop? Did you? Are you leading through rest, as you said? Did you get 8.5 hours of sleep last night? Did you eat 3 meals? Did you exercise today? Did you do all the things that you should have done, or that would have led to your happiness?
Sure.
I guess that's the way to measure it. Keep a log or keep track.
Yeah, keep track. You might use happy or smiley faces or frown faces to do it. As comedic as that is, it's a great form of measurement to see, are you filling up or draining? How many smiley faces versus frown faces are you seeing?
Oh, you mean next to the items on your calendar?
Sure.
Yeah, I love that.
So your calendar is your central tool to measure whether you're fulfilling, following through with all your items.
My calendar is my command center. Absolutely. It is truly my command center. You guys know, you want time with me, what do?
Book an appointment.
Block the time. Otherwise, you're dead to me. If you want me to be present, how many of you would respect a doctor where you're in an appointment and then in the midst of the appointment, they're like, yeah, what? Hold on. And then they take 20 minutes of your time
waiting.
Now, here's the reality. They're doing that while you're sitting in the waiting room. But if you were actually in the actual patient room and they did that, you'd be like, this is totally unacceptable. So that's why I use my calendar as my command center. I give you my focus and attention 100%. Unless there, of course, is an emergency. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay. What I would encourage you to do is to sit and look at what would be an experiment for you to come up with some leading and lagging indicators, some forms of measurement to look at. How do I know if I actually am creating balance? How do I know if I'm actually filling up or draining? How do I know if I'm leading out of rest? And then, is the time that I'm taking for devotion effective? Because I'll find I can use something for a while, and then I'm like, yeah, it's not really giving me the same impact. Time to change it up. Point is not to adopt what I say or do. It's to trust, here's a good resource, verify that it's appropriate, applicable, and worthy for what you need. So one of those is posting in the group. Go do that. Next week, you guys are going to have a special guest, so stay tuned for that. How many of you have a message that you haven't quite, like, really concretely found is, like, spot on and just hits a home run every time?
Mm-hmm.
How many of you guys would like an expert that could help you with that?
Ooh, is that StoryBrand?
Ooh, you're not going to find out until next week when you show up.
Ooh, why not?
Ooh, adding time.
Ooh,
So,
drama.
stay tuned.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me hook you. Let me do the gap.
Yep, there you go.
And by the way, it's not going to be recorded. So if you don't show up, you can't play.
That's right.
Fear of
See?
missing out.
That's right. FOMO. All right. You all have a great Halloween today.
Happy Halloween.
Go shove some little kids down and steal their candy and be that role model that we all aspire to.
I'll wave at you from my broom.
Post your
tonight.
costume on the Facebook group, Chad. That was
All right. You guys can all guess. I decided to go as a retired Floridian. You guys are going to love the costume.
Oh,
It is
an old Jewish
hilarious.
man.
I didn't say what ethnicity. All right.
It's my grandfather. I saw the picture.
So good.
All right, y'all.